Then he went to Puerto Rico as the wing commander for a year and a half, and now he's the director of integration at the Pentagon. Colonel Edward Hertz Vaughan.
We're going to talk today a little bit about bringing a new perspective. It doesn't necessarily have to do with age, although a lot of our younger airmen bring that new perspective, stuff we don't even understand. But we'll get to that. But let me talk to you a little bit about this, OSHA. So there was a wing a couple of years ago that was on its butt. It had some problems. They were grounded for cause by the MATCOM. They had maintenance issues. The wing commander was relieved of command. The state was in so much trouble, they went to the Bureau to bring an outside wing commander, and in the Guard, you know, that's desperation. They brought this wing commander in. The wing commander went down there and looked at this place. The toilets didn't flush. The electricity went off every couple of days. Airmen were getting injured doing routine tasks, walking to and from their cars, showing up to their desks. There were injuries. There were airmen that had deployed to combat, had been home 7, 8 years from a combat deployment in which they were injured in the line of duty, didn't have their LOD, didn't have MEBs. There was a lot of chaos going on. Now, the airmen at this unit were outstanding airmen. These airmen, when they were downrange, would do their jobs. You would want to deploy with every one of these airmen. So the wing commander came in, he didn't know any better. He wasn't the brightest guy. The state asked for the Bureau's very best, and since that guy wasn't available and the alternate wasn't available, they sent this guy down. And this guy said, you know, we got a lot of safety issues at this wing. We have a decent safety shop with a couple of superstars, but nobody's listening to them. And when that wing commander went to the TAG and said, hey, you know, I need a lot of support to change this, the TAG said, hey, wing commander, sit down and shut up. Don't speak for 6 months. You don't know anything about this place. You're from the outside. So the wing commander took a page out of the legal playbook and said, there's a couple things the wing commander that any individual can do that they cannot go back and reprise you for. You can talk to the IG. You can talk to your Congress member. You can also file a report with OSHA. This wing commander, and I have it on good authority, called OSHA and said, I'd like to file a complaint against a wing commander at a military installation. And they said, ooh, we like this one. What's the name of the wing commander? Well, that's me, and I'll give you my name. And I happen to know that wing commander because it is me, and that's what I did when I got to the Puerto Rico Air National Guard. We got 2 of our great safety professionals right here. We had top loads of 76 write-ups. Is that right?
Close, yeah.
Now that put the United States Air Force in a bit of a pickle because of that rule where the double jeopardy rule, if a write-up at one unit now and you get that same write-up, it's a secondary write-up and you get hit for it. That's something we've got to work on as an institution long-term to fix. But as you know, any occupational safety manager's task are their airmen and their wing, and this safety shop took it seriously. They brought OSHA in, and by the way, the deck was stacked a little bit. The OSHA rep was a former unit member. We knew that the report would be written in Spanish and it would take 4 to 6 months to translate it. And so we bought ourselves some time. But what we did in the meantime was we seriously disrupted the culture at the Joint Force Headquarters. And the TAG's hands were tied. Not a bad TAG at all. Not a problem with that general. Just a culture issue, and we had to break them out of the mold. 76 OSHA write-ups endorsed by the federal agency woke them right up, and they said, okay, do what you got to do to take care of those airmen. And that allowed the Bureau then to start writing the checks to fix the infrastructure, to do that stuff, and hire in some of our great folks. This is where I get my motivation. You guys may remember Dean Martin? By the way, I don't know if you knew this, you know, he's always the drunk guy on TV. If you go into the history of it, that glass he was drinking was usually apple juice with a couple of rocks in there. But this I absolutely believe. And one of the things we try to do in leadership positions, and I'll talk about that here today, is we try to protect our younger airmen from making mistakes, from failing. We try to protect the new people coming up in the safety shop from doing something that doesn't make any sense to us, right? We try to protect them because we want them to be successful, but we also want the program we spent 20 years building to remain successful. There's merit to that. Failure and experimentation can go a little bit too far. But failure to experiment and failure to innovate is actually a hazardous attitude. I'll talk a little bit about definition of innovation. I used to teach a course like this at Air University at Air War College. I've tailored it for this class here, for this discussion. I'm not going to give you a bunch of stats today. You have a whole week for that. I'm not going to talk about specific mishaps and peeling back the onion layer. You guys are the ones that have that information and know how to do it. Let's go up to kind of the strategic level and talk a little about innovation and disruption. Let's talk about whether we're getting disrupted or we're going to flip that around and do the disrupting ourselves. But first, let's talk about this definition. It's kind of hard to read some of those colors up there, but bottom line is, a good idea, is that innovation? No, it's part of it. How many good ideas are out there in your unit? Thousands per airman, right? Every airman's got a ton of good ideas. In fact, we call it the good idea fairy sometimes. Like, enough. I got an inspection coming up. The good idea fairy has to die this week. But good ideas are essential. But what makes it innovation, if you look up there, you got the problem recognition, you got the idea. It's the actual execution, implementation of that. That becomes innovation. You take a good idea and you successfully implement it, even in a test case. All of that process, though, is going to require some experimentation, potentially some failure, there's some risk involved. So here's what I consider the continuum of innovation and disruption. Okay, anybody out there, green belt, Lean Six Sigma, continuous process improvement? Innovation on the left side, that's first to 10 over to the right. When you get to the point that when you have your Lean Six Sigma ASO 21 meeting, and the very first question you ask is, hey guys, can we end this meeting in 3 minutes and just eliminate this process altogether? Done. We don't need to do that anymore. That becomes somewhat disruptive. And if you replace it with something else, or maybe there's something else already going on. You've seen it many times as we evolve and go through time. Let me bring up a couple examples. Pilot retention. How many of you are having a hard time retaining pilots at your unit? Do you think they're leaving for the money? So, it certainly doesn't hurt. But that's not really it. That's part of it. That's definitely part of it, right? You can make more money and have less stress and actually have less tasks and aggravation. It's the task, the aggravation, the hoops, the CBTs, the ancillary training, the additional duties that all of us do. Hey, but the AFI says safety can't have additional duties. How many of you have additional duties? Well, hang on. Your wing commander's violating the AFI. Yeah, I know. That's the way it is. You saw those numbers up there with how many we have at the MATCOM for the Guard, right? And you add up all those active duty MATCOMs, you've got hundreds of active duty safety professionals at the headquarters. We have 12 to support 90 wings. You go, oh, they're small wings. Hey, a wing's a wing. It's got all the functions. It deploys, it's got all that stuff out there. So we do more with less, which means the AFI that says you don't get additional duty, obviously we're not compliant with that. But disruption is displacing a current process, eliminating something that's currently happening. And those young or new-minded safety professionals that come in, or maybe it's a crew chief, or maybe it's someone in B. Those people that come in, they give you an idea and you go, whoa, 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 hang on a second. I spent 20 years building this Excel spreadsheet, and you want me to go to Amazon Web Service and the cloud? No. We're going to stick with this Excel spreadsheet, which is based on Windows 1.0. We're not changing it. You know how long it took me to write that macro? And like, yeah, but, you know, sir, we got a downloadable app, and it's so easy to do these inspections on mobile. Oh, I don't want to hear about that. All right, write that up. This is where a lot of this started from. 1995, this is a Harvard professor. He wrote this book, Innovator's Dilemma. I encourage everybody to pick this up because it gives you, and all the lessons are valuable and applicable today. He first introduced this concept of disruptive innovation and disruption, and what disruption means to us. And most of us think of disruption because we've all had that airman in the office that's a disruptive individual. right? And what do? Gosh, how do we get rid of that person? Well, they're a temp tech. Oh, thank goodness they're temp. That disruptive individual can be put outside. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about ideas, processes, not just a product, not just a new tech thing. A disruptive idea can be APHIS, right? You hit the safety crowd, boo, hiss, right? Is it not disruptive though? So the key is, if you're getting disrupted, like we are in the safety community right now by APHIS, the key is to flip that on its head and turn around and do the disrupting. Embrace what you can, change what you can, make it work for you, because if it doesn't add value to your safety mission, you shouldn't be doing it, right? And the Chief of Staff of the Air Force gave you that license. Let me ask you out here, how many of you think safety is the mission of the Air Force? No? Well, then what's safety for? Anybody?
Keep the mission going.
Keep the mission going? Excellent. Anybody else?
Resource preservation.
Resource preservation, so we can take it down range and do the mission. So I work now for Secretary of Defense Mattis. I'm in the office of Secretary of Defense OSD. My card's real fancy, it says OSD on it. I've never met Secretary Mattis, nor probably will I ever. I'm in a little shop called Reserve Integration, but we do a lot of policy stuff, and Secretary Mattis' number one priority, anybody know? Lethality. Lethality is the number one priority of Secretary of Defense, which he gave to the Air Force, which they gave to the Guard, which they gave down to the wings. So to align ourselves with SecDef, it's about lethality. What does lethality mean for us? It means readiness. And I saw the numbers that Mr. Glass put up there. In our own community and safety, we've got some readiness issues. But one of our jobs in safety, my opinion, and it goes to this supporting warfighter, one of our jobs is to help the rest of the wing be ready to deploy. Whether it's resource preservation, whether it's enhancing what those airmen are doing. You know, one of the safest things you can do is to go take stuff off your airmen's plates. I didn't really realize it. I kind of knew it, but until I was in the wing command seat, and I saw the number of IG complaints, the number of CDIs, the number of, the amount of drama, right? And some of it's very real drama. People's lives are at stake. They've got sick children. They've got all kinds of problems going on. We have air crew that have passed away, and we've got to help those families. But all of this stuff that's going on is very distracting in the workplace, and that also can be disruptive in a bad way, so don't let it disrupt you. Let's talk a little bit about this. Hey, you want to go buy toys? What do you do? Good. Toys R Us, right? Whoa. What happened? Well, hang on a second. Wait a minute. The people running Toys R Us are like a 20-year OSM. Dude, you go to Toys R Us? There were toys. There were roll-ball toys. You could check out. You could join their frequent shopper club. Everything. And there's new people coming along in Toys R Us. They're like, hey, you know, we really ought to go online. We really ought to kind of reduce the stores. You know, maybe have to settle and stuff. They said, no, we don't need all that here. Did that happen? That happened! I never thought, and I feel really sad. The guy that created Toys R Us, like the day after they announced that they were closing the whole place and it was done, he died. If you didn't know, look that up. If not asking this again, please do this now. If you have a device of some kind, turn it on. Bring it out. Unless you're low on battery, you must preserve the battery. But turn it on, please. Keep the mute on so it doesn't make a bunch of ringing sounds. And as we go through the rest of this, feel free to follow along. Google, look up the names, anything you want. I'm going to ask you for a reference maybe every now and then. All right, let me get into this. This is a little bit of geekish stuff, but I want us to be kind of strategic level on innovation and disruption. Okay, again, my task isn't to tell you the annual stats, talk about individual wing programs or any of that kind of stuff. We're going to talk strategic. We're going to talk thinking stuff, big picture, because you don't get a lot of time for that in your daily job. If you look at this, it's kind of an eye chart, but it goes back to 1890, the first punch card system, the rudimentary mechanical computers. It kind of takes us up in here today, and you see that in quantum computing. Anybody ever heard of quantum computing? Heard the term? Yeah? Anybody digging into that at all? Well, guess what? The 18 to 22-year-old crowd in engineering schools, they're all into quantum computing right now. And quantum computing is the kind of thing that's going to break our encryption. All the stuff we think makes our server never safe right now. That's if we're getting disrupted. If we want to use it to our advantage, quantum computing can do a lot of other things too, especially in the occupational safety environment. We'll get more into some other enabling technologies that'll help us do our job faster, better, smarter, cheaper. But if you look at this, this is the number of transistors has increased exponentially. It's not linear. It's not, there's one this year, there's 1.5 next year, there's 1 3/4 the following year. It's from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64 to 128 to 256, all the way up. Exponential. And the timeline is compressing. That's how it looks. So way back in 1999, 2000, you're seeing computer chips come along, and you're thinking, that's manageable. I can buy a computer and I won't have to upgrade for 5 or 6 years. Get 2005, you're like, whew, man, I just bought this and the new one's already out. Now, you're best not even buying anything, just borrow it, rent it, lease it. You know what I'm saying? Or live with the fact that whatever you buy is obsolete the day you buy it. Because that's how fast that stuff's changing. That's just a basic exponential curve. But it was Gordon Moore in Intel in 1965, and he made a very, very simple observation. We call it Moore's Law. It's not a law, it's Gordon Moore's observation. What he said was, he predicts, in 1965, every 24 months, the amount of transistors, the amount of computing power on a chip, it'll double every 24 months. And the price will be cut in half every 24 months. He then revised that to every 18 months. He then revised it to every year. And now he's like, I don't know, we're kind of off the chart now. But Moore's Law is what we're living in. So if you look at that, if the green line is the exponential change, the black line is what we think, that's how we think. We think linearly. We think 1 + 1 = 2. And it just kind of progresses. That's how we think. For the first part of any new technology, any new system, any new idea, you're like, that's new and it sucks. Boy, that whole thing is terrible. There's nothing I can make it. And then you go, well, it's getting a little better, but still not as good as the status quo. Think of that black line as status quo. And all of a sudden, when that exponential curve tilts up, now you're amazed. And now there's chaos because your status quo no longer works and your Toys R Us. All of a sudden you wake up and you are Toys R Us or your Borders Books or you're any number of the companies that thought they had it nailed and they got disrupted. This is a guy named Dr. Ray Kurzweil. I got to meet him in 2008. Thanks to the Air Force for sending me out to a conference called the Singularity Conference, which I had no business going to. But they sent me anyway because they said somebody had to go. And I met this gentleman. He has about 50,000 patents. He invented the Kurzweil musical player. He did a lot of assistive devices for hearing impaired people, that kind of thing. But he also is a philosopher on technology. He came up with a law. He said, you know what, that whole Moore's Law about computer chips, that applies to anything that has tech or intellectual property. That applies to the whole thing. And not only is it changing exponentially, it's accelerating. It's getting faster. Does it feel like the whole world's getting faster and faster every day? Do you remember, I don't know, when I was a kid, I remember summers lasted forever. I actually remember sitting in the grass and watching a tree blow around and birds or what. I just remember like summers went on forever. You'd play ball, you'd go dig in the mud. Summers go by like that. Now part of that's you get old and that kind of thing happens, you get temporal distortion. The other part is things really are accelerating. Things are happening much faster. Technology's coming at us so fast. If the average, what do you think the average age of a Facebook user is? High 40s. If you talk to a lot of millennials, I don't want to ask about age, but if you talk to millennials, which are our kids, right? They'll tell, oh, Facebook's for old people. Right, what do? Snapchat, Instagram, all that other stuff, right? And now that's becoming old people for the teenagers. Oh, that's what the old kids use. And it's happening faster and faster and faster. So let me introduce it to you. I'm giving you some of this background because I'm going to tie it all back together, and before we leave, you'll have 3 things to remember. But this is called a technology S-curve. It is a really big deal if you're tech studies and all that kind of stuff. Don't worry about all that. Here's the bottom line on this. See, there's no numbers on there on purpose. I just can't compute all that stuff. I've got a big picture. When something's new, see the performance? The performance is kind of iffy, right? When they get all the bugs out. No truly new disruptive innovation ever hit the market and was great. It kind of sucked for a while. Right? You saw the very first opening slide? driverless car kills woman, right? That technology sucks. If it's killing people, that sucks. Well, but they're claiming they're down here in this low part of the S-curve. All of a sudden it gets tech improvement and they get mature technology. This also applies to market adoption. Early on, you only have the real super edgy, they call them early adopters, right? The super geeks. You know that person out there that when there's a new iPhone, they're in line? They gotta have it, they gotta be the first person to have any new technology. And then there's most people that are, fine, everybody's got an iPhone, I better get one. But I'll get the older model because it's cheaper. And then you got the people that will never get an iPhone. And then finally when the iPhone is gone and something else is new, they're like, oh, I better get one. And they're way out there, and they call those the laggards. That's kind of neat. So, anyway, I just got this thing called a Palm Pilot. I'll tell you, it's pretty cool. You can have this little stylus, and you can put shapes and stuff. It's awesome. I can store all my phone numbers on there. We're gonna need my phone to call them on. All right. Now, if you go back, you look at SCD1 technology. That could be bump helmets, right? We're down here in the suck phase, right? How many of your people wear your bump helmets? You got a couple that wear them? No? Nobody wears them? Do you have bump helmets? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Do we have injuries in the Nugget? Yes, we do. Are they serious? Sometimes they are. Will they wear the bump helmet? No. Will they wear a pink onesie that says baby on it? No. But that's how they think about it. So we're down there in that new innovation, we gotta figure out a way to get there. The goal is not for them to wear a bump helmet. What's the goal? Prevent a head injury. It might be bump helmets, it might be something else. It might be bump helmets with spikes. I don't know, whatever it takes. It might be we're gonna give you $1,000 extra if you wear that relentlessly every single day. That's a little bit disruptive. But if you take all those technologies and you go, well, any one technology is gonna taper off and it's gonna be done. Who invented the mouse? What company? Some people say Apple. Who invented the graphical user interface? Remember computers used to be a little green screen with all the green letters? And then all of a sudden it became these icons that you click? Xerox invented that. They also invented the laser printer. Xerox had an innovation center in Silicon Valley on purpose. They invented the mouse, they invented the laser printer, they invented the graphical user interface. And their own designers that they hired to do this stuff couldn't get leadership to adopt it. The Xerox said, well, we're a copier company. Yeah. What's all that stuff for? So some young punk in sandals named Steve Jobs says, well, I'll buy that useless technology off you for $100. Yeah, go ahead and take it. Now I have Apple, the rest is history. But that's what I'm telling you right there. So there's stuff out there. Now, any one technology, you stack them together, and that's where you get that exponential curve. Don't read too much into this. Other than as you get to that top part, the mature part, technology starts to taper off. That is the innovation window. So how many of our programs, how many of our systems, how about our professional development? How about our professional certifications? How many of you here have your CSP? CSPs, go ahead, don't be afraid. There's Chief. Anyone else? Why not? I'm asking, why not? Time, right? Is it paid for or do you pay out of your pocket? A little mix there, so a lot of folks think you have to pay out of pocket for that, so if you guys are offering up CSPs, you gotta let them know. What else? It's not required for your job, is it? But what if you gotta go out in the civilian sector right now? Do you think you'll compete against somebody with a CSP? No? Yes? Maybe?
Have you got a CSP?
Don't know. The key is CSP might be on this curve or it might just be a red herring. And that's where you got to do some analysis to figure it out. Top and I had a good talk about it last night. And I'll tell you that there are a lot of folks out there that believe if you're going to go on the civilian side and you don't have some sort of a credential, you may be the best occupational safety person in the world. Most of you guys are. Through sheer experience, right? Bad judgment comes from, good judgment comes from bad judgment, right? You guys have it. But that's sometimes hard to reflect to employers. But anyway, we'll go forward on that. Back to this again. So if you take all of those, you stack them together, you get this curve. That's all the technologies together. That's what Kurzweil is talking about long-term term. So it's not just one thing. It's not just fall protection. It's not just bump helmet. It's not just seat belts. It's not just airbags. It's all of them together. Some of these things, seatbelts, airbags, they don't prevent car crashes. What they do is mitigate the injury during a car crash. Driverless cars, however, purport to prevent car crashes. They killed one person. So if you look at the stat, you're like, oh, somebody died. That whole idea sucks. What I would tell you to do is go back and look at stats. First of all, do we have a problem right now with motor vehicle crashes?
Yes.
So the number of crashes is where? Between 35 and 40,000 a year?
Yes.
Fatalities. But are we driving more than we did 10 years ago? Are there more hours on the road, more cars on the road, more people driving, population increase? Now that's why you have your phones out. What I would tell you to do, and I think driverless cars are happening whether or not this group decides they like it or not. So we got to deal with it. That's a disruption. But I will tell you this. If you look at the rate of motor vehicle crashes, it's actually coming down. Even though the numbers are they're kind of doing this, between 35 and 40,000, sometimes above 40, sometimes around 35, right, per year. Same as the flu. All those fatalities. But the denominator is bigger. There's more, according to some of the stats, the NHTSA, there are more driving hours, there's more cars on the road, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something to look at, just to get into those stats and realize, are you actually going to do something better or not? All right, cue video, please. This is a video we put together at Air University to explain this whole concept to the Chief Staff of the Air Force. We did this in 2012. It's all about air power. What's that? One golf yard? There's the rights. Guard one strikers and just let them go to town for the Air Force. The Chief of Staff of the Air Force will love that. I didn't kill that, we've seen it already. Bottom line on that, and you guys, that video will be available. It's also on YouTube. You can download it anytime you like. That was from 2012. We put that together. That's so you can see the technology kind of stopped there. We have all the new stuff. We have Uber and all that. But the key is technology is changing at such an accelerating rate that no one of us can keep up. And any one superpowered individual out there can take things down. You see the city of Atlanta? You see what happened in the city of Atlanta? The entire city of Atlanta government was held hostage by a hacker. I think they paid the ransom. Yeah. They had to pay that guy like $50,000 too. They're going for, you know why? Because they're keeping it below a certain level that gets the NSA and these other guys fired up. I think that's what they're doing. Or they're just dumb. But that's the other thing. The technology is such that you don't have to be Mr. Brilliant anymore. Somebody like me could do some hacking if only I could get a computer that worked. All right. You might remember that? You might remember the term Kodak moment. Kodak had a moment. You know who that guy is? That's a Kodak employee who invented the first digital camera. And that's it. This is in the, I think it was in the early 90s. Maybe it's the 80s. This guy invented the first digital camera. Patented under Kodak's license. He brought it in to the board of directors and said, you know, we're in the Kodak moment business. We're in the preserving memories business. And I think this will help us do that. And board of directors said, no, no, no. We're in the film and chemicals business. We don't care about all that. Please just take that somewhere else. And he did. And now we have a Kodak moment. Kodak is barely breathing, trying to revive itself using cryptocurrency and some other things. They're still out there, but they're barely hanging on. Another company that got disrupted. I want to talk to you a little bit about all this stuff we did, and the reason I gave you that whole thing with the Air Force and Air Power is to bring up a concept called design thinking. All that means is, most of you do it anyway every day. When you see a problem in your occupational safety world, you see a problem with your airmen, think about designing solutions, think about experimenting, think about prototypes. Think about how do you bound and mitigate risk. It's stuff we do every day. Design thinking has these steps, if you want to go by the book. But really, if you look at that, it comes down to testing, experimenting, evaluation. When is failure valuable? All the time. The chief talked about that. There's certain things you can't afford to fail too far. Nuclear weapons, probably not the place to go out experimenting a lot. Right? But trying some new PPEs out there with the right oversight in a controlled environment, probably a good idea. Especially trying new ways to access your tech orders so that people don't have to break engagement from their work and come back and do that again. You guys seen the assistive devices, like the board you put over your eyeball? Have you seen that? Boeing, Lockheed, some of these guys are using those. We'll get to that in a second. You might recognize John Boyd? Don't worry about all that. Bottom line is that's the actual OODA. Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. It's pretty technical stuff, but it just comes back to design thinking, which I think they based it on Boyd in the loop anyway. All right, we're going to finish out the whole discussion here with a little game. I have 8 topics, and we're going to play disrupt or be disrupted. You guys ready? Let's go first. Oh, hey, you must be active duty. All right. Now, we'll do this as a group. Thank you, though. We'll do this as a group. Number 1, artificial intelligence. Is that going to disrupt us? Are we going to be disrupted, or are we going to do the disrupting? We be in the Air Force, we be in the Guard, we be in whoever. We going to use it?
Yes.
Anybody have any idea how to use artificial intelligence in your daily job right now? You guys have your devices out. So this is, again, when you leave this briefing, you will have no answers, but you may have some questions. And I'm going to leave you. The reason I bring that up is where artificial intelligence is right now is not so much a robot standing at a chalkboard, but all that math that goes on. There's a lot of stuff we wish we had the stats, right? Anybody see Moneyball? Yes. I love that. They went after kind of second-rate players that weren't really considered great, but they really dug deep into the stats. This is what we can do in occupational safety.
They have equipment that helps lift boxes that you can attach to yourself and keeps you from straining, and UPS and others are looking at, so it hooks up to the legs and the arms, so you just go like that.
There you go.
No strain on the physical, the frame of skeleton of the body, but the machine does all the work.
You still got your job. Yep. Now that's an assistant, but we'll get to some of those too. That's one great example of where we can use technology. Artificial intelligence specifically, C-17 uses it, downloading data from all your engine data. You can actually find engine anomalies much sooner than we used to be able to. And artificial intelligence is something you can access now. You can go in, you can use your, call it impact cards, don't know what they call it. Government purchase card, GPC. You can use your GPC and buy $1,000 worth of artificial intelligence time to do your stats and your analysis for you if you choose to. Something good idea. Go.
I got a quick question. So are we concerned at all about the job? So now we're getting to that point where we're creating these things that at the end destroy us as working class Americans, because we're creating all these great ideas, but we're also losing workforce.
Brings us to number 5. Very good lead in. I'll go back, catch 2, 3, 4 in a minute. That was good, that was awesome. That's exactly the concern that's out there. By the way, that's the concern we all have when someone new to the office shows up, some hot shot with college degrees, right? You guys know Super S.A. Morales, used to be in our office, Chief Morales?
Yeah.
His word for some of these guys was too much college, not enough high school. Think about that. Let that sink in. But what I will tell you is displacement of humans by automation is a thing that's happening now. And it's specifically, it kind of happened in manufacturing already. So now you got people in there that are robot tenders. Their job is to fix a robot and do programming and CNC and all that. It's going to happen in large numbers in the next 5 to 10 years in what we call the white collar jobs. Secretarial, legal, admin, analysis kind of jobs, all of that. And that's coming, and there's not a lot we can do about it, but maybe understand, embrace it, and find out where our niche is. Because whatever machines are out there, they got to be programmed, they got to be fixed. One day, machines will program and fix themselves. What do we do then? I don't know. Hopefully everybody in this room won't be around, but our kids have to deal with it. But very good question, I don't have the answer. Next is Internet of Things. We'll go quickly here. Anybody have a Nest at their house? Nest? Couple guys. That's where you can use your iPhone to program your thermostat. You can connect to your security system, you can connect to your locks. You can actually now connect it to your refrigerator. The refrigerators are all linked together. You ever watch that episode of Silicon Valley? Where they had, you don't watch that show? What? No millennials in here? But they had this thing, made a computer program, and somehow it jumped to the refrigerator and then linked with all the other refrigerators. Because that's happening now too. Some refrigerators have TVs and all that. But the Internet of Things, 50 billion connected devices as of 2016. By 2020, $60 billion in the smart home market. So you want to make a lot of money, get involved in that kind of stuff. 3, advanced robotics. We talked about that. Robotics aren't just on their own, they can also assist us, they can work with us. Maybe we put robots to do the dangerous, dirty jobs that cause a lot of injuries for us. So confined spaces, we send robots in. Inspecting inside fuel tanks, going down in the trenches. Those trench walls, they always fall on people. When they're digging a trench, you get somebody down in there, it's going to fall on them. It just always does. Autonomous vehicles, we started off with that whole thing. I will tell you that something really strange happened. I think these companies get the idea, the NHTSA, Department of Transportation, are starting to look real closely at whether or not they're going to like all this. Everybody heard of Waymo? Waymo is Google's driverless car technology outfit. If you guys want, and this will be on your SharePoint, Waymo.com, they issued the first safety report, like a 50-page document. That's what safety in the future is going to look like, in my opinion. Take a look at that, read that report, the way they have structured their safety program, system safety, integrated with frontline occupational health and safety. Integrated. Very interesting, worth the read. And you guys can get this downloaded later. We got that one. Ubiquitous drones, you know what that is? That's the new selfie drone. That, no kidding, you buy that thing, buy it on the internet, $200. It follows you around all day and films you. and will take still photos of you doing whatever you want. I was going to bring one and have it come here, but they had a rule against it on the base. And I was going to have it film me and project it while we're here. That's a little too much tech for me. I can't handle it. I know that Rachel and Fritz and those guys could, but anyway, drones are everywhere. They're all over your base. There's some companies out there that if you pay them a couple $100, they'll put a device in one of your buildings, like a duffel bag, and what it does is it senses all the drones that fly over your guard base for a 30-day period, and they'll give you a report. And it is hundreds and hundreds. You don't ever see them. They're probably all just, maybe some kids or some tourists or somebody that just doesn't know what's going on. They're curious, right? I don't think they're terrorists yet, but they could be anybody. Augmented reality, that's what I'm talking about. All right, Boeing, Lockheed already use it. Some civilian companies use it in maintenance. Basically, the tech order is in your helmet. But it's not a virtual reality where you don't see outside. You see through it, like Google Glass. So you can see what you're working on, and it will actually, if you have the sexy advanced one, it'll show you where the part goes. And it'll show you, it goes this way. And you're looking at it and you go, oh, you mean like that? Yeah, that's the way you do it, like that. And it'll show you all that stuff. And that's there now, it's available. It's very expensive. But as with anything with Moore's Law, the price is going to come down, the capability is going to go up. And finally, abundant deployable energy. Talk about that a little bit more offline. I want to yield back to the program here, get done a few minutes early so we can hear from Top. I'm curious to hear what Top has to say. Great colleague, Mr. Parsons. But abundant deployable energy, we saw this in Puerto Rico. So after I left Wing Command last June, a By the way, thankful we had those long-range weather forecasts. Saw about 6 hurricanes come in and said, hey, I'll hand this off to the next guy. But no, sure enough, they asked me to come back down. I was fortunate to be part of the team that went back to Puerto Rico to help out with that kind of stuff. And as you may know, the infrastructure down there collapsed. You saw that Atlanta just got hacked. You see blackouts in the Northeast a few years ago just from chaos. You see our adversaries are actively trying to disrupt our SCADA, disrupt our infrastructure, our electric power, our water, our sewage. My prediction, as is Ed Vaughan's theory, is that the grid as we know it will be gone in a few years because it won't be defensible, it won't be sustainable, and we'll be doing individual power. Distributed power, maybe neighborhoods, maybe your own house. Have you seen the Tesla Powerwall? I think that's where we're going. And then everybody having their own personal energy. Personal energy. You guys seen this picture? It's like a front end loader with a ladder up to a tree, and there's a ladder on a stump, and the guy's up there and he's got a chainsaw. So I just want to finish this off because I was talking to Top last night. I really think fall protection is a big issue. We got to balance the mission, but we got to figure this out, and we got to be innovative and creative about it. Same with the bump elements, but I think fall protection to me is a bigger deal. Subscription falls, mostly ice, people falling off airplanes. You guys seen one of these? You guys know where that is from the tail flash? Edwards? They test a lot of stuff. These are available. I don't know. I think they're designed such that you can move, but like a seatbelt, if you fall too quickly, it'll lock. I think they're designed with locking mechanisms like that. Here's another concept out there. Got that all over your F-16. I don't know, how practical all that stuff is. That's ISO. You can't do that, for a basic through flight or anything, but think about it. There are things out there we can do. You guys seen the video of the guys that go up on the billboard, paint the billboard, and they fall off, and their vest is plate, and then they just bounce. They're good. So they carry their own fall protection in their vest. It's almost like an airbag on their person. So there's things like that out there. All right. So we've talked a lot about a lot of geeky stuff. Basically what I wanted to do is take you out of the daily grind of stats and mishaps and OC safety and get you thinking just a little bit about the art of the possible, some other stuff that's out there. Some of you already do this. Most of us don't have time to do this kind of thing. So taking an hour to do this is probably reasonable. These are 3 things I want to leave you with. We live in an age of surprise. Okay, this is my opinion. You may decide that it's not the case, but I think it is. And I'm not just talking about tweets. We live in an age of surprise. Design thinking for safety innovation. Design thinking is not new to any of us. It's just a new label. But think of that term, and if you search that, if you go to your devices and you search design thinking, you'll say, we already do that stuff. We identify a problem, we come up with some options, we test them. But do you really do that? Do you really test them? Do you really give an audience to those younger airmen, or those outside airmen, or those Navy transfers? Because that first 6 months of somebody joining your unit is when they're going to be able to change the status quo and the culture. Finally disrupt or get disrupted. Here's my contact info. You can link up with me on LinkedIn. There's all the emails. Use the Gmail for LinkedIn. And I think that's it. That's all I have for today. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.